Hello everybody, my name is Max. Welcome back to my channel. It's a nice Sunday here in Austin, a little chilly. I thought it'd be fun on a Sunday to kind of wrap up some of the things that came up this week and some things maybe that I wanted to mention in other videos that I hadn't got a chance to yet, or some stuff to clarify. I seem to have to do that more and more frequently lately. So let's see, today I wanted to talk about some big words. I just wanted to talk about convexity and the definition of that. And also wanted to go over yesterday's video and make some more remarks on that. And then also, if you stick around till the end, I'm gonna pick an ETF that you guys should hodl. All right. So convexity. What is convexity? In math finance, convexity refers to nonlinearities in the model. In other words, as the variable changes, the output doesn't change in a linear manner, it changes in a nonlinear manner. Okay, the best way for me to describe this is when you buy a put option on the SPY. When you buy any option, the opposite of what QQQY does. So forget about QQQY for now, but when you buy an option, you want the volatility to increase. So guess what? Volatility increases whenever the market crashes. So let's say you bought an option the day before the market started crashing in March of 2020. So let's say the day before the market crashed, the VIX was probably at like 10 or 15. I don't remember, but it was low. And then that next morning, the market was down big. I think it was over a weekend. It opened way down on Monday and just kept going down. Well, your put option that you bought on Friday reprices all the time. It reprices based on several factors. It reprices based on the price of the SPY. So yeah, when the SPY's just cratering, yeah, your put option's going up. But guess what? The volatility is also going up, and your option's also priced on volatility. That's where the convexity comes in. Convexity's like a tailwind. You're making more than even somebody that just shorted the SPY. Shorting the SPY was a smart thing to do with stock. Also, if you would have known that, you would have done well also, but you would not have had convexity. Somebody that had shorted the SPY through puts would have convexity relative to the other person. When I name myself that, it's just it's like saying, hey, my portfolio is better than yours or bigger than yours. Because you can try to achieve convexity in your portfolio allocation. It's not only on individual trades. You can make trades that are convex, but you try to have a convex payoff with relation to your total portfolio. But like I say, it's just a joke. I don't have it all figured out. I wish I did. So here's a better graph. I thought these guys did a little better job explaining it. The Simplify they have a really good website. So when you do an option trade, it can be convex in both directions. You can have upside convexity and downside convexity if you buy a straddle. Yeah, okay. So convexity is not leverage, but leverage is one way you can achieve convexity. And also convexity is not alpha, but it's one way you can achieve alpha. So alpha is just when you are making a higher return than the benchmark. So like in my example about the person that bought the SPY put the day before the market crashed, and the other person just shorted the SPY. Well, the guy that shorted the SPY, he has alpha. He's doing really good. The guy that bought the SPY put, he has alpha plus convexity, and that's the whole deal. I mean, alpha's great. Alpha's great too. Just as a side note, I have two different handles on Twitter, and I don't even know why I did that. It's not on purpose. Anyway, one of my names is Max Convexity Man. The other name is ATX, which of course means Austin, but ATX Alpha. I tried to be Austin Alpha, but it was either too many letters or it was already taken. Okay, so back to my straddle example. A straddle is when you buy a call and a put that has the same strike price, and you're betting on the market to move way up, the market to move way down, and you're also betting on volatility to go up. So when you own options, you're long volatility. When you sell options like the QQQY does, you're short volatility. It's the total opposite deal. Also, when you buy options, you lose, you lose 2 times out of 3. So there's definitely advantages in selling them, but you don't get convexity when you sell options. You can get alpha, but you aren't going to get convexity. All right, here's the payoff. Lots of times they talk about your payoff profile as convex in both ways. In other words, and this is a perfect example because you make money both ways. Of course, the catch to it is like I was saying in the last one. You buy options, you only win 1 out of 3 times, basically. So you have that big thing in the middle, that red zone. That's called a valley of death when you're trading options, and you want to stay out of there. But that right there is just a visual representation of the options time decay coming out of the price. All right, so so on to my video yesterday. Covered calls are trash in a runaway bull market. Okay, well, maybe the title was a little bit clickbaity. I don't know. I didn't mean to sell these funds, or I didn't mean I no longer like them. I mean, I still love them. One of my general theories, I've talked on some of my other videos about the efficient market hypothesis, and that's the theory that there's not a whole lot of things you can take advantage of in the market that somebody else isn't already taking advantage of. And when a lot of people take advantage of an edge, the edge will go away. And it's like I'm always saying about these market makers. They have the best computer models, and they have the most skill. And I think they're better able to judge and price risk than anyone else is, and than the retailer, particularly than the retail guy. So that's why I don't believe in timing the market, because it goes along with the same thing. Yeah, sometimes you could see the market's going to go down and buy a put before. I mean, you could time the market over short periods of time, but I'm talking over a lifetime. You don't need to time the market. I believe in allocate in a more defensive manner. Maybe before COVID happened, or let's say after COVID, let's say in 2021, after we had that huge 1.5 year rally, off the COVID lows, and it was the end of, we had the Santa Claus rally, the whole bit, the end of 2021. It was 2 years ago. I know there's people that thought, oh man, this thing's going to go down. So maybe at the end of that year, you reallocate. And what I would have maybe done is, let's say I had 10 in YMAX before then, or 10 in covered call, income type strategies before that. If I thought the market was going to start going down, I would reallocate and put that to 20%, and maybe take your growth. If the growth was portion of your portfolio was 90%, take it down to 80%. I mean, I believe in that kind of market timing, where you allocate in a more defensive manner. Or maybe you allocate, maybe before COVID happened, and you maybe had an idea that something was going on. I guess a lot of senators and congressmen did, and maybe you reallocated a portion of your portfolio to a tail risk ETF. I mean, yeah, that's fine. I'm talking about timing the market on a short-term basis, in and out. I just don't think that leads anywhere good. It's just my opinion. Tell me if you disagree in the comments. I know there are people out there that can time, and God bless you if you're one of them. I mean, I'm not talking bad about it. I'm not throwing shade your way. All right, but yeah, dollar cost average instead of that. That's another thing. Just dollar cost average, and allocate and dollar cost average. You don't have to worry about timing. In fact, dollar cost averaging gives you the effect of timing, because you get more shares when it's down, even though you aren't trying to. It has the effect of timing. So, or you get some of the same benefits that you get when you time the market. So another thing that I wanted to talk about, and I didn't emphasize this enough, is tracking error is not a certainty. It's not like death and taxes. I mean, there's tons of stocks and ETFs that are blowing up right now. I can think of 2 of them. I'm getting ready to talk about one of them. I'll say in a second. But what about Coney? I mean, it's not having tracking error. Okay, well, it is having tracking error, but no one cares about tracking error when you're up that much. Yes, it's underperforming the benchmark, or the parent asset by a little, but it's making so much money. They're both blowing up. No one's going to notice tracking error. In other words, it's like if you have a beer gut, but you're a billionaire, people won't notice your beer gut. But so picking the right asset is the key to preventing tracking error. That's easier said than done, And I'm not talking about timing the market, but you have to have your allocation in something, hopefully, that has a lot of convexity and a lot of alpha. Say if you would have, say on October of this year, right around the low, if you would have reallocated because you thought it had gone down just about as far as it's going to go, so you reallocated, you upped your growth portion of your portfolio. Yeah, that kind of stuff, absolutely. Reallocate to be more aggressive. That's fine, but don't sit there. I wouldn't sit there and like buy ETFs and then sell ETFs and buy other ones. I would just change my allocations. And that's the way professionals do it. All right, so yeah, okay, this one's like, of course it is. Tell us something we don't know. But anyway, let's say that somebody's a crypto bull for next year. I got a good fund for you. And yeah, don't listen to me. I don't know anything about crypto, but I was just reacting to the way risk assets are correlated with each other. So if you look at federal fund futures, and you can tell that 5 rate cuts are priced into the Fed futures over the next 12 months. That doesn't mean they're always right, but that's what those market makers in the bond pits are thinking is going to happen. If that does happen, risk assets, it doesn't matter if it's crypto or if it's the SPY, risk assets should all generally have a tailwind. You should be able to get convexity in risk assets next year if we get the 5 rate cuts. All right, so then I started looking at, I was thinking, okay, so crypto's just blowing up. So I pulled up the funds that were up the most from last year. So, of course, one thing is not like another on here, and I really liked what I found. I thought this was cool. So there's only one out of all these funds that are up. Most of them are leveraged and related to Bitcoin, so that wouldn't surprise you. But one kind of did because it was unleveraged, and it was an income fund. I have a soft spot in my heart for income funds. Look down there at Maxi. It's the Simplified Bitcoin Strategy Plus Income ETF. I think this one's a winner. I like the concept of it. Okay, so their objectives are capital gains and income. It's not one of these ones that's just income like the high yield ones. They are actually going for capital gains also. And they provide exposure to Bitcoin, and they simultaneously generate an income by writing call spreads and put spreads. This is similar, I think, to the kind of option strategy that THTA does. It's similar. I think it pays similar too, and this doesn't pay just a huge dividend, but it pays a good dividend, and you're getting paid to wait. According to Simplify, it's the first one of its kind. It's the first Bitcoin one that also has income exposure. I bet there'll be a lot more of these to come, but I think this one's pretty cool. Okay, so check out Maxi's top holdings. I wanted to talk about this a little bit. See how it says Bitcoin futures 99%? It doesn't really cost them 99% because you buy futures on margin. And they aren't using leverage because they aren't like using the leverage to buy more futures than they could afford if they had the same amount of money and they just spent it on cash Bitcoin. They're trying to replicate exactly 100% what would happen to you if you went out and you had your money all in Bitcoins, the physical. And there's a little difference between the futures and the physical, and there's not a physical Bitcoin ETF yet. I don't think there's one coming out this year or a bunch of them, but this is as close as we have right now. But the main thing I like about it is the put options they're selling. That's a smart money strategy. And they're all in their prospectus. They can sell it on. There is no options on Bitcoin itself. There might be in the futures market, but anyway, they're selling options on correlated assets. Well, the SPY is heavily correlated, and so are bonds. So that's in their prospectus. They just own Bitcoin, and then they sell put spreads to generate yield on correlated assets. It's a genius idea. Then they keep the rest of the money in treasuries, and we know treasuries are paying great money right now. So this is a great fund. It was a great fund for this year. It doesn't mean it'll be a great fund for next year. And no, you shouldn't really buy it. I was kind of just trying to get you to stay around till the end of the thing. But you might want to consider allocating some of your money, to it. But who knows what Bitcoin's going to do next year. What you need to do, and put it in the comments, tell me about it. Figure out what's going to be the asset next year that was like Bitcoin was this year, and I'll find you a yield fund, and we'll put the money in, and we'll allocate to that. Now, if Bitcoin's going to keep going up for another year, maybe this one would be good. I like it. I like anything you can get a yield off of while you wait. I wish the yield was a little higher, but I mean, okay, so let's check Seeking Alpha, like I said in the notes. What I wanted to compare on Seeking Alpha is this BITS is a Global X ETF that does not sell, that just owns the futures in Bitcoin. It does not sell options. So anyway, they're doing a little better. And so you could say that Maxi has tracking error or whatever, but that's my point. No one's going to care about Maxi's tracking error. I mean, yeah, it's 40% behind the benchmark, I guess, but when you just look at the price, so yeah, that's what you call tracking error. But when you look at the total return, it's still behind a little bit, but like I say, it's like the billionaire at the beer gut. It's just not an issue. Yeah, so like I said, BITS is also a good one. It's a Global X. Same thing as Maxi minus the option overlay or the option strategies. So it's the same thing, but you don't get paid to wait. So I like Maxi better. That's just me. All right, so but I'm really excited about a lot of these things, and I wanted to give this one YouTuber a shout out because I get all my information from him as far as the new funds that are coming out, the new ETFs. This guy, just like Retire on Dividends, is an expert looking at prospectuses and an expert with spreadsheets and with accounting. This guy's the same way, but with SEC filings. He is awesome with SEC filings. I'd go give him a follow if you don't. I mean, he's wonderful. And he doesn't even know I'm going to give him a shout out. I hope it's all right. Anyway, I'm sure it will be. But I just love his channel. But the information I got from him, I just took a screenshot. So Defiance is coming out with some new 0DTE ETFs, and I could not be more pumped about this. And it's kind of the same reason I'm pumped about Maxi, because I'm pumped about anything that gets yield off anything. Okay, I'm into yield, but I'm getting so bored with all the ones that are just doing stock indexes and stocks. That's great, but now we're going to have a bigger choice. Now we have Maxi, where the underlying is Bitcoin futures. So, if you want to get exposure to Bitcoin futures but still have yield, you got Maxi. You're going to start having, if you want exposure to gold but still have yield, evidently, and like I say, this guy knows what he's talking about. GLD is going to have an ETF. It'll probably be called GLDY, where they're going to get yield and simultaneously, own gold. Gold is great inflation protection, so silver, natural gas, oil. I mean, this is really exciting to me, because I think the whole industry is blowing up, where you could start getting yield on any assets. I have an idea for a fund. I want to do a fund that is levered to Austin real estate, where it follows some kind of Austin real estate index. Austin real estate is ridiculously expensive. And I would love to make a fund where you had exposure to Austin real estate, or maybe not Austin, maybe exposure to high-end real estate everywhere. Miami, Austin, San Francisco, LA. You had a high-end real estate portfolio that at the same time you could sell options on correlated assets. Well, everything's correlated with everything else. You could say the S&P is correlated with real estate. So if I made the fund, I would sell options, sell put spreads on the S&P, and maybe on bonds, because bonds are also correlated to real estate because of the interest rate relationship. It'd be a great idea, and I bet you somebody's already thinking of that. But, if you want exposure to oil or to natural gas and still get a yield, it's just a very exciting time to be an income investor. I put one of his videos on here just to see if I could do it. I didn't know if you could. Anyway, he's a great guy, but it's going to probably be too slow. But just go check out his channel. Okay, so here's something else I learned from his channel today. Oh my gosh, Panda's so smart. He's also talking about YMAX has a new fund coming out, and it's not going to be based on any specific stock or any specific index. They leave themselves open. They can have up to 5 positions in it, and I think they can be stock or indexes. And I think, and I base this on what Panda was saying, but I bet you they're going to pick out special situations like when a stock has earnings coming out, like when Netflix has earnings coming out. Sometimes the premiums for the options are super high, and you can do certain strategies that monetize that. And I bet you that's what they're going for, kind of a special situation fund. I don't know the ticker, but I know who will know. This guy will know it. You need to watch his channel. When it comes out, he'll know it. But he's also all over the new YMAX Fund of Funds, the YMAG and YMAX. I just don't want to talk too much about it because my information is not nearly as good as his. If you want that kind of information, check out his channel. Oh yeah, and all I wanted to say is my merch, my pop-up store is still up. I'm gonna keep it up through Christmas. Anyway, like I always say, I really appreciate how much you guys have supported the channel, and I get really nice comments all the time, and I really can't tell you how much it means to me. And like I say, if you like this, give me a comment and maybe subscribe even, or a thumbs up. But if I said something wrong, please correct me on it, and I read most all of my comments. I try to, and I try to react to them. So if I have something wrong, and I bet I do, probably when I was talking about Bitcoin, I probably said something that was inaccurate, but I didn't mean to. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful what's left of your day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.